Hi everyone, I'm going to do a review, actually two today. You might think it's about the Maultier half track, and it kind of is, but we're going to skip past this kit really quickly. Just for reference, this one is 6761, and we'll quickly take a look at some of the painting options that they provide for this kit, which is pretty varied. Yeah, that's it. Because what we're actually going to review is contained in another, or this kit is, the basis for another kit, which is this one. Now the actual Maultier in this one is exactly the same as in the first kit, just with the addition of the Flak 37. So I'm going to do a review of this kit because it's inclusive of the first one. Now this one is Cyber Hobby, and it's Cyber Hobby's 6768. This one I think is out of production, or at least fairly rare. And there is another one of this that looks very similar that has the 2cm gun, the 2cm flak. I just prefer the look of this one just because of the barrel sticking that much further out. Makes it just look a little bit more dangerous to me. A little bit of a background. The Maultier actually started off as the Opal, usually the Blitz, and because it couldn't handle the mud and the conditions in Russia, the lack of any real roads, they decided to turn them into a half track. Now, I can't remember the exact name of the designer, but if this wheel and bogey track system looks familiar, especially if anybody's done anything British, there's a reason for that. It's the same design as was used on the Universal / Bren carrier. So if you've built one of those, you know what a treat this is going to be. Anyway, on to the review as such. This one is a little bit different from the first one in some of the photo etch. Let's get down a little bit lower, simply because the glare's not helping. Let's see if I can get rid of it. There we go. This kit includes some shields for the windshield out of photo etch that were designed on the real thing because of the blast from the muzzle break. Should it actually fire from the position the gun's shown. Quick look, they go on about their bench. There is a bench against the back wall or front wall, depending on which way you want to look at it, for the crew during transport. And they also claim that the model can be done with the side gates up or down. I think these actually fell completely down to the side. I'll have to take a look before I get around to building this thing. There's nothing on the ends but the artwork. More artwork. Again, this is right side up. And it's the same basic vehicle that's in the other kit, just with a couple of additions, including the gun. And there's the gun again. They give you some ammo for it. And disturbingly, magic tracks, which we'll get to in a minute. Anyway, let's crack it open. Hopefully it doesn't stick too bad. Of course not. Right, I'm going to put this aside. Zoom this down a bit. First of all, the magic card, which, let's move that white. Includes the decals. I'm going to leave them sealed up. One thing to note is they don't give you in this kit pre-done license plates. You can either do German Army or Luftwaffe, and then you've got to create your own number combinations. The actual plates are blank. So you've got to lay decals on top of decals to create them. I'm not thrilled about that. They do give you masks, if that's going to pick up or not in this light, for the windshield and side glass. I'm not quite sure what that photo etch is for. This one is for that shield for the AA gun, and some perfectly clear plastic. Now, this is the nightmare. Oops. This will not be fun. Let me get one of these out. Right. You can see that is absolutely tiny. If it's on the screen or not, yep. Now, let me see what I got to compare that to. This is off a Panzer IV. Yeah. Now, looking at this, you can barely make out the guide horns. It's that small. I'm not even sure if the camera will pick this up. Kind of. So even telling which way's up on these things is going to be a challenge. And the other problem with these is Tamiya Extra Thin has a tendency to pull everything together and shrink them. And there's so little plastic there. I've seen other guys that have reported having the Tamiya Extra Thin just melt through and destroy any details on the tracks. With Magic Track and individual links when they get too small. So these are going to be a real treat. And I guess it's because of these large openings that they went with the Magic Tracks. In reality, these are small enough that I would have preferred the DS tracks, the Dragon Styrene rubber band tracks, because these things are going to be a real nightmare to put together. Anyway, we'll move on. Let's open this one up. Back up a little bit. Where it all zooms in. There we go. A little bit better. We've got motor, radiator, this is the leaf springs, parts of the frame, exhaust, drive shaft, frame, all little odds and sods that make up, well, the boring part of a model, or the boring part of a vehicle. That's all clean. I'm not seeing any flash. It's all nicely molded. Let's take a quick look at the back side. Same thing. Nicely done. Next one is, looks like some of the cab and stuff. Boxes. I'm assuming that's gas tank. Some hooks, a few tools, the steering wheel, the lights, And the cab seats. That's part of the gun, we'll get to that later. Interesting, we'll get to that. Looks like the front rubber wheels are the... Oh, they're not the multi-type. Interesting. Looks like you end up with a total of 8 wheels when all it needs is 2 plus a spare. Very crisp though. Something we use as a backing. Detail on the tires is quite nice. And the rims. I'm not sure why they did that. You got the actual bed parts. Now, can't really tell. Let's have a look. Let's see, here's something with a relatively straight edge. Might just be an optical illusion. No, there is. I don't know if you guys can see it. There is a slight bend to these side pieces. That's the bottom. That's the outside of these pieces. It would have been nice if they had done these upper planks as removable, along with their supports, or braces, whatever you want to call them. Especially seeing as if you do want to remove them and do the half-size wall, that's an awful lot of fine work to make these pieces disappear. But on the back, for the back one, they give you a choice of one with the extensions in place and one without. It's too bad they didn't do the same for the sides. And then these would be the roof supports for canvas. Let me get some smaller sprues. I can open this. One pieces. Again, more of those ribs for the canvas top and the back, and more rims for the wheels. This one will open. Part of the half-track suspension in the back with some springs. The springs look quite nice. Hopefully that zooms in. Hang on. Good enough. And wheels for the half-track section. There's a fair number of screws in this kit. I'm putting off getting to the gun just because. Oh, Dragon messed up. This looks quite familiar. There are some different parts we didn't have on the first sprue that had the frame. Side running boards, I guess. Exhaust system. I'm not sure which one we're actually using, if it's this sprue or the other one. And body parts. The doors, the front fender, and the base of the cab. Running boards. Skeleton of the engine cover, the front of the engine, the sides. I'm not sure if this one had the sort of double fold sides, if there's supposed to be a hinge line along there, or if this is actually correct that it's one piece. More fenders, and the roof of the cab. All very nicely done. No flash. A little bit of texture showing through on the roof. Now this is the gun. It's the muzzle brake. It comes in its own little bag, tucked away inside the gun bag. I'm going to open it up, but looks like I will. I think if you're a real detail nut, you're going to want to drill this out. It is hollow. I can see almost all the way down into it, but the side is not completely perforated. They're just divots hinting at perforations right through. Put that aside, don't want to lose that. Gun shieldings and parts, again nicely done. I'm actually kind of surprised Dagon was able to control themselves enough to keep this all in one sprue. Or sorry, well, 1.5 sprues. That's the back side, so there's quite a few of press marks in here, but that's the inside of the frame. It won't be seen. Same on the bottom. There's quite a few ejector pin marks. But on the visible side, there's none. They do give you some ammunition. But one thing with this kit is these were automatic cannons. I believe they fired at a cycle rate of somewhere around 500 or 600 rounds per minute, which is why a lot of them had 2 loaders, because they were loading in clips non-stop into these things. So for these few rounds, that's interesting. These 2 clips, all of your typical bullet nose on them. This third one looks like a mixture. So I don't know if these are supposed to be armor piercing or anti-aircraft. And this is a mixture of high explosive and tracer or something like that. I haven't done enough research into the gun to be able to tell you. But these things went through so much ammunition. A lot of the anti-aircraft, a lot of the flak guns pulled a trailer with nothing but ammunition. Because I went through that much. So in order to look anywhere near appropriate, this thing is at the very least going to need an aftermarket kit with boxes and boxes of 37mm ammunition. There's the rear bench. And more wheels. And that's all the plastic in this one. Now, on to the instructions. Zoom out a bit. Hopefully. Typical Dragon front page. Again, most of these sprues, with the exception of these two down here for the gun and this photo etch, are in the other kit for just the straight Maultier. And usual multi-fold garbage. The typical colors. And then what you would expect from most of the kits. Wheels, motor, radiator, and magically the frame appears to take the motor. Driveline, exhaust, wheels, tires. They give you the option of leaving the hood or bonnet, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on, open. Dragon's showing it as one piece. It strikes me as strange. I thought a lot of the vehicles, or most of the vehicles in that day, would have an extra hinge along here. But what do I know? Well, so far these instructions aren't all that cluttered compared to Dragon. Dragon's normal effects. I actually have to start assembling and see what's wrong with these instructions. As for the most part, Dragon instructions look good, but then they come to get you. And they do show these sort of upper gates being removed. That's an awful lot of work with a small knife to get rid of those supports if you want to take them off. And I don't mention the fact that they're producing this piece on the same sprue without the upper gate. Interesting. Now that looks like a pain. That's a photo etch, which you've got to somehow, it's the photo etch mud flaps for the front. They want you to keep half of it straight and bend a curve into the lower half. Not fun. And of course that's in the same one where you've got to assemble those microscopic magic tracks. And then it's into the gun. Which the gun instructions are looking a little bit more cluttered than the vehicle instructions did. But the good news is it's only a couple of steps. And I've got it down as, well, the two main steps, 14 and 15. And 16 is sort of a final assembly. Well, 16 and 17 are final ones. And then you drop it in the back. For whatever reason, they're only showing you the one paint option, which is a winter version. And again, they're showing these things these gates are sticking straight out, but they don't show any support or bracing that would stop them from doing a complete 180 from the upper position and swinging right through and hanging down at the side, just like the rear one does. So I'm not sure. The other thing too is, with those slats missing there and there, it wouldn't take much for someone to step through, especially in the heat of the action. You know, you'd have to confine yourself to the main lower part of the side wall if it was down. But that's why I showed you the paint markings on the box on the other kit, because I think you're pretty much free to do what you want with these. But they're saying unidentified unit, Eastern Front, 1942. So it'll be a while before I work up the courage to go after this kit, if for no other reason than those magic tracks really intimidate me. So if anybody's got any tricks on how to do magic tracks that small, let me know, because I've done the half tracks for the 250 series half tracks, the two-piece ones, and they're tiny, but these things are even smaller. So if anybody's got any ideas or tricks, I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, have a good day.